And we can get started. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to Satisfactory. Now, last time we left off, it was day 1 of Fixmas. It is now day 3. So I think I can open the old calendar and click on some numbers. I got 50 packaged rocket fuel. It's not too shabby. Don't really need that, but sure. Then we click on that one, and we get red ornament trinket unlocked.
There is no escaping the Fixmas spirit with this red ornament build gun trinket. It can be equipped at the lockers in the hub.
Neat. Alright, let's equip that. How do you even get into the hub? I almost never do this. Alright. There. And now, if we take out our build gun, I do not see any ornaments. Where is it supposed to be? I don't know, I think it's there, that I just don't see it. Am I blind? I must be blind. Oh well. I'm sure it's there. Alright. So, with that done, the next thing we need to do is start up. I guess may as well grab some presents. But we need to start working on the next project part. So we've finished off turbo motors, meaning there is basically nothing left to do in this phase except for move on to the next one. So let's just grab those presents since they're around, and then start talking about assembly director systems. Now, let's see here. These are complicated. They require adaptive control units and supercomputers. So we would need, if we want to do our usual thing of 10 machines, it would be 7.5 assembly director systems, which would be 15 adaptive control units and 7.5 supercomputers. Now, do I have the spare production for those? Let's first head over to the supercomputers and see if we have those available, but also I don't even know if we want to use those because we might want to do something else with them later. Now, there's only 2 recipes, so if we have enough, and actually we can just check in this, we should have 18.75, so this should be less than half. So we can do that. We can just grab our supercomputers from over here and reuse them. And that is going to require setting up a drone output. So let's just hop in and do that real quick. Up we go. Up to the very top. And then hopefully the other thing that needs supercomputers similarly doesn't need all that many, because I really don't want to have to produce these again. Alright, so we just have to make this be right any as well, and then pop the drone port on top. Gotta swap to zoop mode, and we need to get a lot of space because drone ports are not small. Alright, hopefully that's enough. Yeah, barely. And so we need 2 drone ports, 1 for fueling and 1 for actual transportation. Just pop those 2 next to each other. That belt goes in there. You get a drone. And then all of this has to get connected up to power, like that. Then this needs to be supercomputer fueler. Let's give it some packaged rocket fuel and send it to rocket fuel source. So that's that, and then this one is supercomputer source. And so now we just need to get this belt, I guess, can just go back there and into that. So now we'll have a good solid supply of supercomputers, 18-ish a minute, approximately. I think we had some high-speed connector related problems here last time, which were mostly but not entirely fixed. Alright, so that is that done. And then the other thing we needed for this was adaptive control units. And we're going to need 15 a minute, but we only would have produced 10 a minute. That is still, though, the majority of the production. So, and I mean, we're definitely not using those for anything else, right? Yes. So we might as well just shovel them in there to make the numbers smaller. So if we can get 10 out of 15, then that means we only have to make 5 We only have to make 5 adaptive control units, and everything else for the entire assembly director systems we can import. Now, the question is, where did I even put that? Turbo. I'm pretty sure it's over this way, right? That's high-speed connectors. That isn't labeled properly. That, it looks like the bauxite. Yes, it's that one over there by the swamp. So we have to head just basically as far east as we'll go. So let's get started moving on over. And actually, we'll have to see there if it is possible to just expand this to be 15 a minute. That would be very convenient. I don't know how possible that'll be, though. Normally I don't build these to be expandable. But if it happens to be lots of extra space over there, it would be extra convenient, both not having to transport it anywhere and just not having to come up with a whole new design for the ACUs, which I remember being reasonably complicated. Alright, so across we go. And we just keep on slide jumping over until we get there. I believe it's actually this one just past the aluminum. So we just have to not get hit by that train, which is a lot easier in Satisfactory than it is in Factorio because of first person as opposed to very, very wide, zoomed out third person. Alright, if we just hover up, hopefully there will be a power source here somewhere. Yes, there we go. Alright. So, now we get to actually just fix this, because this is clearly not functioning properly. So these machines are at 70-some%. Because they're not outputting enough. So if we run forwards, these machines are also not outputting enough. So where do they go? Oh, they go down? Oh, right. This is the one that we did in reverse. That's fun. So you are short on heavy modular frames. Alright, heavy modular frames, where are you? You're these ones. And short on encased industrial beams. Why is it, like, randomly always encased industrial beams which we have problems with? They're not that complicated. So you need concrete. Is it a limestone supply issue, or is it a delivery issue. Or is it like water supply? It could be water supply, honestly. I don't remember how I did this back here. So this is meant to be the input. And I do not see really anything being input. And it's supposed to be 240 a minute. So the difference between 0 and 240 is a lot. So this is showing 30-ish a minute. So yeah, something's gone horribly wrong here. So I assume... Okay, just based on the way it is, I think it's going to be a water supply issue, because if it were a limestone, occasionally a train would show up and deliver an amount, and then it would run super fast for some time before stopping again. But if it's like this, then it's got to be water supply. Alright, although it is now looking a lot faster up here. And it's not looking like 240, but it's looking faster than 30, at least. Alright, so that's these machines. Oh, were these the Schrodinger's concrete machines, which work fine when you show up, but break when you leave? I feel like that was a thing that happened at some point. Alright. So, water supply to these machines is clearly not good enough. Which is quite annoying, because where is the water even going otherwise? Ooh, look, a present. I'll grab that. Up to a good solid 500 of them. Alright, water. What is your problem? This center... How is this not flowing at all? Whereas this is flowing at 500 some. That makes no sense. Maybe it wasn't connected properly. So if we pop that in and rebuild it, it's still showing a nice respectable 0 meters cubed per minute. How? It literally filled up instantly. Alright, we're going to take that support out and just connect that directly up to that. Now this is showing 0 meters cubed a minute, and actually this whole line is. Okay, wait, no, a number showed up there. I don't understand. Why is this all messed up like this? Alright, so back here we have several hundred a minute. And as we move forwards, it just like abruptly drops off for no reason. It's 300 there and 0 there. Okay, now this is dropped down to 0 as well. And this looks like it's dropping. What on earth is going on here? None of this makes any sense. I really, really wish fluids didn't work the way that they did. Alright, so that is the water tower system. If we just take those out. Okay, it looks like the entire thing might be failing. Like, I guess what could have happened is the headlift broke. And let's see, this, I mean, all of this is showing low percentage because of output problems because of the limestone shortage. And the water doesn't seem to be going to the limestone. I hate this. I hate this so much. This is the worst. Okay, let's try. Let's try to just go down to the bottom level and flip the headlift system. So there's a valve down there, and if we turn that valve off and back on again, sometimes that fixes things, which is absolutely awful, and I wish that it wasn't like that. Alright, so now we're down here in the swamp. And let's see here. So this pipe goes all the way over here. And here it is, the valve in question. So let's turn that valve on. And it's now gonna go back off. Alright, did that do anything? So these machines are 100%, 60%, 40%, 6%, 6%. Alright. Over here we have 100% and 87% and then a whole bunch that aren't doing much of anything. Alright, I think the problem is the headlift system. I think the headlift is broken and we just need to fix it. So let's find that hypertube cannon and launch ourselves back up to the top. Alright, up we go. Alright, I wanted to make it all the way up to there, but I guess this doesn't really have the horizontal range for that. Oop, lag spike. So we're gonna just have to jetpack over to here. Swap back to hover pack. And then make our way up again. And if we activate the hover pack at approximately the top, stops our momentum and keeps us exactly where we want to be. Alright, so let's change this packager system so that this fluid buffer is just connected in to all of the water up here. And I don't know if that'll change anything, but maybe it will. The crude oil seems to be working, so I'm not going to mess with it. Although this does seem to be fluctuating a bit. So hopefully that's fine. And also hopefully this is fine. So this is how I've done the water towers on like the supercomputer factory, where it's just connected into the fluid buffer up here. And hopefully that is enough to do it. It'd be real cool. Okay, those all look green right now. Oh, no, back down to yellow. Of course. I'll grab that gift, though. Probably going to need a whole bunch of those at some point. Alright, and this looks like it might be equalizing out. Like it's going back up, which is good. We have higher numbers in these, at least. At least the center one is higher. And this is fluctuating. It's somehow filling it above... It's somehow filling at 1,000, which means there is basically just insane backflow into this. Which I don't think I want. Although I don't actually know which way it's supposed to be going. I assumed it would be from here out to there and then down. And then just gets filled from this side. So as long as it's working, I'm fine with it. But what if we just get some valves in there to control the flow to be one way as it should be? Okay, now the fill rate has plummeted. But it's recovered. And it should be now capped at 600 because it can only be filled from one direction. And yeah, alright. Let's go with that and see if this is working at all. These are still not getting water very fast. The joys of fixing old factories. Alright, well I'm going to turn these off so that they don't consume more water than they have to, and so that will take off like half a pipe's worth of water from the demand, which should hopefully cause the rest of this all to saturate. And it will also just cause the rest of the factory to stop entirely because that's what we're waiting on. That will be helpful. And yeah, we can see that all of these are not exactly filled despite their low output. Okay, so we have 600 there, a couple hundred there, and that is fluctuating around 0. Hate to see it. Alright, so where do these pipes go? This one goes down to the fuel, right? I'm trying to remember how this old factory works. And I believe that goes down to make fuel for plastic and rubber. Which... oh, there's 0 water in that pipe at all. That's probably not great. That one is showing 0% flow rate again, as is that. This fluid buffer has hit 312.2 meters cubed and has stopped completely. Just 100%. Okay, it's going again. It's very, very mysterious. Water is an absolute nightmare in this game. Like, it's actually just completely nonsensical. Nothing it does makes sense. It just sort of does whatever. So what I should be doing is I should just simplify this system so that there's less interconnections. So let's do that. So we need to find like batches of 600 water. So this over here is going to be 300, right? Or less than that. It's going to be 100 plus 100. Yeah, so this is exactly 300 water. So I can actually control that just by making that Mark 1 pipe. And now it'll only be able to get 300 water in here no matter what. It's a bit cursed, but maybe it'll help. Then we need to find another 300 water to connect it to for it to share with. Unfortunately, all these are weird numbers. Like 17.143. How many of those are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, wait. Why are these last couple weird numbers? 17.143 times 8 is 137.144 plus 16.02 plus 12.535 is 165.7. Well, that's not very useful, now is it? Alright. So, let's just mark that down. So this is iron. And we have 165.7 water going to iron. 165.7 water to iron, 300 water to concrete. So this is copper, it's 9.848. Is that true for all of these? Or is one of them a weird number? Alright, that's true for all of them. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, 9.848 times 9. 8 times 9 is 88.632 water to copper. Alright. Yeah, so that is that. Then we go back here to the Caterium, and we have 22.158. And that's the same for all of them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0.158 times 6 is 132.948 water to Caterium. 132.948 water to Caterium. Alright, so that is that, and then we just have this quartz, which is 35.714 times 2, which is 71.428. 71.428 water to quartz. And then there's the fuel. So we have to just follow this pipe down for that. And this is going to go into all of these, and we get 60 in all of these except for that one. So that is 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, 480, 540, 600. Alright, so that is 625 water to... Is that right? These are all 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. and 25. Alright, so if we have 625 water to fuel, then we need more than one fuel pipe going down there, which is a bit annoying. Alright, so let's see if we can organize these up so that they all have their own separate pipes. Okay, we're on the wrong side of things here. The water input is over here. And by the way, still, it seems like we may have made it worse. It seems like, in fact, we've definitely made it worse. So, I mean, it should all be filling up with water simply because there's no other place for the water to go other than into machines, none of which are running. Except for these, I guess, are somehow running. I don't know how that is happening. Alright, so if that's all going on like that, then let's just grab a Fixmas gift while it happens to be right there. Alright. This water, I assume, is 3 pipes of 600 or so. So let's see how much water is this in total. 165.7 plus 300 plus 88.623 plus 132.948 plus 71.428 plus 625 is 1383. So almost 1400 water. Not quite 3 full pipes. So the next thing is we're going to drop down to the bottom and confirm that we have 3 full pipes of water theoretically. Alright, what is this doing? Nothing important, I don't think. Alright, so we're just going to drop down here, and actually we can just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a full pipe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a full pipe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a full pipe. Alright, so that is, in principle, enough water. Now we need to... I guess we need to just check that it is actually flowing, because I am not sure. So these pumps should be immune to backflow, and they are sending up a couple hundred each. And I'm not sure where exactly that's going. So then there's the pipe which goes back down. That's this one, right? And it is obviously flow rate 0 because there's a valve locking it to that at the bottom. So if these pumps are pumping, even only at 100, then there should be water going into the system. And yet, for some reason, there is not. And this is the one which goes down to the fuel, and it's not getting any, basically. So where is the water going exactly? It's genuinely a mystery. We have flow rates of several hundred there, and then they go into here, and there's a flow rate of 0. Like, how does that make any sense? There's a little bit flowing here. So I guess it must just all be going down to the fuel. Nothing that is going on up here makes any sense at all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this all off. So none of you get to be connected. So we have these. So, first, I wonder if we want this to be a higher fluid buffer. It's probably fine, right? I mean, it's up to that. Yeah, okay, so let's go organization. Industrial fluid buffer. In you go. And you are going to be just purely filled up by this. Fill rate of 400 and rising. We should see a fill rate of 600 theoretically. Because we are... And it looks like we are getting there, although there's probably going to be a drop down because of sloshing and all of that stuff. Alright, but it is filling. It isn't draining. It's not draining any from that, because that's staying stable. So if this is filling, it is occasionally sloshing back, but it's pretty safe to say that... No, wait, now it's just emptying again. Oh, please, just be normal. Yeah, so it must just be the head lift system isn't working somehow. Which is, like, it's weird that it works just fine for the crude oil. Which is, like, basically doing the same thing. Maybe if we just take those valves off and let this just do whatever it wants to do. Maybe we need to make that an industrial fluid buffer. So that goes there and goes there. And so now it's going to fill up, and that's going to fill up. And let's just pop a valve on there so that that doesn't backflow at all. So now this can fill up with water, and hopefully provide head lift to all the stuff that we need to provide that head lift to. Okay, I'm thinking maybe the reason the crude oil worked is because, like, the pipes physically didn't need to go as high. Like, these pipes are all pretty low to the ground. I don't know. That's just a theory. I have no idea what I'm doing. Alright, so that's filling up. This is filling up, but mostly draining. And how... Okay, it must have just drawn water from those pipes. Yeah, so I do think we want valves on these to keep things going in the correct direction, because that is the head lift system. If it breaks, we're going to have to build a new one. And there is water flowing through these pipes, which must be going this way and into this fluid buffer, because there's nowhere else for it to go to. Alright, so that is filling up. Now this is just sitting stably at 340 some, which is baffling. It must be... Maybe these pumps back here should be Mark II pumps. I don't know why that would do anything, but let's make that happen anyways. And actually, is the oil... Does the oil even have a pump back here? No, it doesn't. Alright. Can you just upgrade? No, apparently not. But they should be working, and just in case, let's add another row of pumps just up here. 1, 2, 3. And then we can grab power from these guys to power them on. And hopefully that will add enough head lift that these can fill more properly. How are you only at 348? And you also seem to be stable. Alright, so that pipe is zeroed out. But back here, all of this stuff is sloshing. It should be going up. So there's water coming in from here. And not much, and it's not stable, but there is some, and as long as there is some, this should fill up. As should this, and it looks like it is occasionally going up. But nowhere near fast enough as it should be, considering we have 3 full pipes. Theoretically, at least 1 full pipe should be going into them. And these are showing flow rates that are in the 80s to 100s, and there's literally nowhere for them to go except in these 2 fluid buffers. So they are... This one is just staying as it is for no apparent reason. Why are we like this? Does it have to do with, like, output priorities or something? So, let's see what happens if we just take... No, I think those need to exist. I think they need to exist for head lift. But maybe if we valve them. So if we just plop valves on those and then set them to 0. So now any water coming up through this pipe has to go into here. And any water coming up through this pipe has to go into here. And any water going up through this pipe has to just stop. Alright, it is filling. And it's also draining at the same rate that it's filling, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Genuinely, where is the water even going? It's like, how is... Okay, that's actually a good question. How is this pipe... I guess this pipe is just filling up and then emptying back into there, and then filling up and then emptying back into there, and then that's just looping back and forth forever. Ugh, this is the worst. Why can't fluids just be normal? It would be so cool if fluids just worked the way that they would work if anything made sense. Alright, it is filling though. So this is showing 600 meters a minute. This one is still doing basically nothing. Let's just set that to 0 and see if this all backlogs. So with this getting filled, that should raise the water level in theory. because fluids in buffers work in strange ways. But the more this fills up, it should eventually like add small amounts of head lift or pressure or something. I don't know how... I mean, it seems to be working in the sense that this pipe is definitely throwing 600 water into this. So that's a very good sign. And then this pipe is also showing a couple hundred water, which is just doing its thing in here. And then this pipe is filled with water but has nowhere to go. So eventually this should all completely fill up, right? And there should be no more room for water to slosh around because the pipes are completely capped. Like, they can't go backwards if there's stuff there already. This buffer is really quite full at this point. It's significantly more full than the smaller buffer I had in here previously, which is probably not going to make much of a difference, but who knows. Eventually, this will fill and stop accepting water from here. This one should... Didn't I set this valve to 0? Is this just flowing back and forth with the water from there? That is insane. I don't know why it would do that. Okay, meanwhile, this pipe has completely filled. So I'm going to turn this valve on and see. We can get 600 out of it. And that's going to fill this. Alright, cool. We don't actually want that, though. So we've just been able to verify that this probably is capable of outputting the correct amount of water. Alright, now this buffer is completely filled, which should, I mean, it's not flowing anything at all, but it should just maintain head lift. Alright, now that we have these pipes which are filled up with water and capable of doing all sorts of cool stuff with it, now what we need to do is we need to get that water into all of these devices. So first of all, let's 165.7 plus 132.9 is less than 300, just barely less than 300. So we can actually take one pipe and do the concrete, the iron, and the caterium and have it be like exactly the correct amount. So let's first make sure to disconnect all of those from everything else. So that's the caterium line, now properly disconnected. This is the concrete line. Once again, not connected to anything anymore. And then the iron is back here. Alright, so we just take you, bring you back this way, and then let's see, what is this pipe even doing? I don't want that pipe to be there, and we're rebuilding this whole thing so I can just take it out. Alright, let's get more space over here so that we can mess with the pipes on the ground area-ish. So we've got that. we've got that. We have that. We have that. And we have this. So we bring those together. Then we place a junction. And then all of these get access to that junction. And now we just have to bring this back and hook it into a pipe. Alright, so that is now attached to a pipe and should be able to get a flow of 600, which should divide up 300 there and the other 100-ish in either of those spots. Alright, so that's caterium, which is isolated from everything. That is concrete, which is isolated from everything. And this is iron, which I think we might have to take out from back here. Yes. Alright, then the other thing which should be done is we should loop these back on each other to prevent manifold fluid related issues. So we can do that, and we can come over here and get this in the same way, like that, and then go over here and do the caterium. Like so. Alright, so that is one full pipe going into all of these. And it should be fine. Obviously, we're not actually filling the pipe yet. We're not going to start these machines until we have everything set up and running. But this flow rate of like 50 something is not enough. Hopefully it is just the pipes saturating across. So this is still producing caterium somehow, which I would honestly just rather it not do. The actual belt itself isn't running at all, so that's just filling the internal caterium buffers, which I guess isn't an issue. Alright, so if we have iron, concrete, and caterium done, then we have copper, quartz, and fuel left. So this is the copper. So we want to just disconnect the copper from absolutely everything in preparation for reconnecting it. Alright, this whole pipe doesn't exist anymore. Let's get rid of it. Alright, copper is now its own little island, as is quartz. Now, fuel is going to be harder because it needs more than one full pipe, but just a little bit more than one full pipe, so I have a plan on how we're going to fix that. Alright, so first of all, that goes down to the fuel. And now we're going to drop down to the fuel and mess around with this a little bit. So, this goes in here and fills up all of these except for this last 25. We're going to chop that one off. Wait, is there more water further down that we use? Oh gosh. Why is it like this? This is awful. Oh, yeah, no, this is the worst thing that anyone has ever seen. We have... What is this? Aluminum production here? Why? Why? Alright. Well, that's fine. So that is all going to have to be connected up to the remaining water. But we're actually going to have to account for this. We have to figure out how much aluminum is even here. And more copper? Why is there more copper down here? Is this just a different thing? Oh, this is the aluminum production. This is literally just a different factory, which is just leaching off of the water. Okay, yeah, not a fan of that. We need to make that not be how that works. At least not... I guess it's probably... No, it's definitely not fine. Not off of this one singular pipe, unless this is just providing headlift. Is this just providing headlift? If it is, then it's okay. And I think it is, actually. Yes, it is just providing headlift. We have separate water pipes down there. Alright, that's fine, I guess. We can do that. It's not going to break anything. So we need to get back here and get up to our fuel production. Alright, this is running for some reason. I guess because it has access to enough water. Alright, so this pipe here... Is it this one? Or is it this one? No, that one's disconnected. So this pipe here goes down and it provides 600 water a minute, which is what it's doing, to make fuel. And then that fuel gets packaged and then probably unpackaged and then sent off. So that is fine. Then we need to get another 25 water to that machine from the pipe that does the quartz and the copper. So that we can put it into that, but we're going to have to change it because that's going down a different pipe at some point. We need to connect it up differently. Alright, so this then comes along here. Alright, so now it goes into there, and some of it goes into making quartz. Then, the rest of it comes across here, and this is actually fine. We can just connect that in the middle, and that should provide water for copper. We should have 600 in, so it should be like... Yeah, so then this is filled, and we have like half going that way, and a little bit going this way. Alright, so now we have copper production connected up. This is still technically going, if very slowly. So next, we need to take this pipe and we need to bring it down into here, and we're just gonna use this as a shortcut. This pipe goes here, and then instead of going over there, we actually want this pipe to also go over this way to fill up that one machine, which takes 25. There. Alright, now you have that. And we're going to let the whole system fill up with water as much as we can. Like these pipes are filled. And if we go back here, all these pipes are filled. And then once we turn on the concrete, that will gradually get the entire factory warmed up again. Alright, so that is now full. How about these ones over here? Are they doing well on water? No, they are not. Alright, so this should just take a little bit to get all that set up. We have 600 a minute going there. We have 600 a minute going there. This one is already finished because it was the first one we set up. So once these two pipes stop running, then we will know that all this stuff is mostly filled out. And we have that side is all capped. We head over here. These ones are still running, but they are capped on water, which means that all the water in the system that is still running is going down to the fuel, which I believe is not especially close to capping out. Actually, where is the fuel production? Sort of got turned around. It should be like branched off of this. Yeah, so this is the fuel production. It's higher up than I thought. And it is still just running and producing fuel, although not at the full rate. So since it's not producing fuel at the full rate because of weird empty canister related problems, I guess, then these pipes should also be filling up. So if we go all the way over here, all of these, including the furthest one, are all filled up. Alright. So that is good. I think the water is functional. I'm gonna let it go for a little bit longer just in case while I go around here to look at what's going on with these. So these ones are getting packaged water back here, as they should be. These ones over here, I believe, have ended up in some kind of shortage. Right, so this is speed balanced, and they got all distributed to these first couple ones, which means that they're not over here. Well, we're gonna have to warm this back up then with more empty canisters. So let's grab another couple extra stacks of that. And let's see, where do they seem empty? That one could use some empty canisters. This one could use some empty canisters. This one over here could use some empty canisters for some reason. That one could use some empty canisters, and I'm going to need more. Alright, so now the fuel side of things should be all sorted out. Yeah, the downside of using speed balancing in this sort of system is that it doesn't necessarily work very well. So let's actually get as much in here as we can, because the more saturated this is, the more canisters there are in the system, the better it'll all work. Alright, now this one has stopped working because of a lack of packaged fuel. So let's make sure that that isn't an issue. Give you plenty. So yeah, when there are disruptions, like a lack of water, that this belt isn't going as fast as it can, these first couple of machines will get oversaturated as the last couple of machines stop running, which is what happened here. So when that happens, you just have to sort of rebalance things, get it all sorted out again. So that is still not working. This one is still not working. I don't think we have a whole lot of packaged water. Yeah, no, we don't, but we do have packaged fuel. So we can't get these to actually run, but we can throw in the packaged fuel, which will keep them running. And if we had a situation where there was like a full stack of items for every single machine in the entire system, it would be impossible for it to ever break. But for now, we're just going to have to deal with making it a lot more difficult for it to ever break. Alright, so that is now going. And it's just producing fuel, which I'm surprised still needs producing. Since the concrete shortage, you'd expect that everything would have backed up completely. Alright, so fuel goes down this pipe and that pipe. Does that split off here? No, it comes in from two separate fuel pipes. That's probably fine. That's 625 fuel, right? And then it just fills up this whole system, which is producing at 100%, despite it looks like it's about to stop doing that. This rubber looks very, very full. But it's probably all okay. Alright, so now we should be able to head back up, and all of these pipes should be 100% saturated with plenty to spare. So now the only thing left to do is turn these on one by one, let it fill, give it a little bit of time to recover, and turn that one on. There we go. And one more. You want to let these pipes be as saturated as possible. And so I might actually turn you off just to make sure that it stays 100%. Because it does need to be a bit precise here. So we turn that one on. And it's going to fill all the way up. And I don't know if we want this to actually be a Mark 1 pipe. I think we want the ability to send more over there if it's needed. So let's just upgrade this back just to be sure. And it shouldn't really matter if everything is all saturated. It should be fine. Alright. So we have given it enough time to recover, and now we can turn you on. And this factory is 100% operational, and hopefully the changes to the water flows should make it work better. Let's just keep grabbing these presents. I imagine at some point we're going to need like a gazillion of them over the course of the month, so let's just make sure that we have a gazillion of them. Now, as for expanding this, it's not going to happen. There is no shot that I am going to be trying to squeeze more machines into this. It is just not well enough designed to be able to like incorporate that. Even if it were well designed, it wouldn't be easy. Dang, we're up to 1,000 presents already. Turns out, just hanging out in an area, letting gifts accumulate, and then running around and grabbing them. Pretty good way to get lots of gifts. It's also funny seeing them down here, like they've managed to sneak through a whole bunch of floors down to get to that level. Alright, so now that everything is fixed, we have concrete going out. We should be able to see this whole thing just start coming to life. I wonder if we can actually catch... On Mark III belts, it's pretty fast. I don't think we'll be able to catch the leading edge of the concrete production. Okay, what is this? 73.3. I was going to say, that doesn't look like 333. But that's because it isn't. Alright, so at least for now, concrete production is absolutely chillin'. And, alright, we have actually found... we basically found the leading edge over here at least. So these machines are about to get filled up with concrete. And that will let them get started. And so 18 seconds later, we will have a supply of encased industrial beams. And then that will get the heavy modular frames, and the actual concrete going directly into them has always been fine. Probably because of how we did the splitting, I don't know. So yeah, we have encased industrial beams coming out now. And this is rising from 2% up to hopefully 100%. It'd be a real shame if after all that we still don't have enough concrete production. That would be pretty embarrassing. Alright, modular frames, just waiting on concrete. This is a weird way of designing this. It's actually kind of neat. I wouldn't do this nowadays, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I actually think it's cool. And it's going to be a while. I guess it takes 90 seconds to produce enough encased industrial beams to fill this. And then it would, once these two go in, they'll be the last two, and it'll be another 90 seconds before we get our heavy modular frames. And then those have to go down into the belts and make the ACUs, which are obviously currently completely stopped. Alright, so this is now starting. These should be going at 100% now. They are not. Why are you not going at 100%? Let's see if that's like a chronic thing, and I think it is. 8, 9. This should work. No. It's a slight delay. So you're supposed to be getting 16.667 concrete per minute. So if we go back here, that means that each of these branches should be 33.3. Oh, is like one of these not working properly? This is not. This is 120. This is not 73.3. Are you meant to be an overflow? I think you must be meant to be an overflow, although you might have. Maybe you're balanced further on down the line and you just haven't gotten to that point yet. Definitely not. This is definitely just going as it wants to. And I guess it should be balanced just by being fully saturated, which I really don't like doing that. I don't know why. This has got to be something which was meant to be an overflow splitter or something. I don't really want to mess with it though. We'll see if now that that's saturated, we'll see if these are working now. Now there's still clearly visible gaps every so often. Let's see how bad it is. Because it's showing 52%, but that's just because it was at 0% a little while ago. Okay, that's definitely still an issue. It's 100% still an issue. Alright, let's recheck the math. So, this is 16.667 combined with you to get 33. Right? Yep, I haven't lost my marbles. That is indeed that ratio. So this, we follow all the way back here, is 33.3. Alright, so how does this get split off? This gets split off into 5s. And we have 33 times 5. Times 5 is 166.666. Which is what should be on this belt here. Now, if we actually put on a throughput monitor, we are almost certainly going to see less than that. Let's see here. It was up to 150. Yeah, so the absolute max we're seeing is 150, and it's more like 140, because it's oscillating between that and occasionally dipping down to 120. And that's a stable pattern there, which is being caused by this. So this merger is wrong, basically. Alright, does it only go to those two? So we have 166.6 plus 73.3. That's giving us our 240 total. Alright, so this is definitely stable at exactly 140. This, then, must somehow be more than that. How are you more than 73? And if you aren't, then how is that happening? Is our concrete production still not good enough? It's very much the sort of like jerky, weird setup of something which is just running whenever it runs. Alright, how is concrete production doing? It's showing a 200 and some, and it's limited by belt speed. Alright, so that's something. How has that happened? Somewhere in here, we're not getting enough belt speed. So what is this? This is 1 plus 1. Hang on. Alright, let's do the math from scratch. So this is taking 60 out. So we have 60 going this way and 180 on this. We take, what is this? Theoretically 73.3 off. And we push 60 and 60 forwards. So 60 plus 60 plus 73 is 193, which is more than the 180, which is going through here. So that's not right. And this is also probably not right. Alright, anyways, let's just assume that this is correct. We have 60 there and 60 there. That's 120. 120 plus this, which is... what is this doing? It's taking 60, sending 20 forwards, is 140. Yeah, so that's where we're getting the 140 from. And then only not enough is going there. So this, I just did the math wrong when I made this splitter somehow. How did I manage that? Alright, so how did I manage that and how do I fix it? Because I can't leave this broken as it is. So we need to get this up to 166.667. Or alternatively, we could just rely on the speed limiting here at 73.3. Let's see here. So that's 60 plus 13.3. So we can get 60 easily enough. 13.3 times 3 is 40. And we can do 40. Because 40 is just 2/3 of 60. So we can get that easily enough. Or we could figure out, if I was trying to do something here, what it was and how to fix it. So this is meant to be 166.667. Minus 60, minus 60. Leaves us with... Okay, so this is definitely meant to be 20, right? There's no way I could have messed that up. So that is meant to be 20. So if we subtract 20, we get 146. Subtract 120 and we get 20. Now that doesn't seem viable. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the 73 splitter. Or we could just rely on it being saturated, which I don't really want to do. I'm going to make the 73 splitter, which isn't that hard. And then we can just have the other one be an overflow. And that is much more straightforward. So we cut that line out, and let's cut it out there too. So we have a Mark II belt going in. We have a splitter taking off Mark I. Then we have that splitter, which gets us to, which then merges two of them. So those two go forwards, and now this output is 40. And let's just assume we have a conveyor merger back here to take the last output. Alright, so this merger output is 40. We then split that, merge two of them up, and then that can go in... Actually, can we just get another merger in here? And then, so this merger can then face this way. And send there. And grab those two. And that go in there. Alright, so we have a belt of 60 there. We have a belt of 60 there, which then gets split into 3 ways, 20, 20, and 20. We take 2 of those together to get 40. The other one is recycled. Then we take our 40, and we take 1 of those off to get 13 point whatever. Then we go back here. We take another smart splitter. Actually, we don't even need that. We just need a merger here. So we take a Mark 1 belt off of that. We take our 13 off of that. And then we just make that the Mark 2. And now this 73 belt goes over there. And I believe the only thing we need to do is hook the existing belt into this. So you go there and there. Alright, so that is that. And then with that, we need to make this a smart splitter, left any center overflow. And then we do not need any of this stuff. This can all go out. And all of this nonsense can just be reduced to a single line on an overflow belt. And it has to be, what, Mark 3 still? So we go here, center overflow, left any. There we go. Alright, so this... Oh, I grabbed a concrete off of it accidentally. It looks like it's stabilized at 60, which is not correct. Which means I probably failed to connect something up somewhere. Ah, I forgot to set this. So this needs to be right any... It doesn't even need to be a smart splitter, technically, if this is going to be a full Mark II belt. Just have to have 60 there and 60 there. Which should work just fine as is. And this priority merger needs to take medium right, so that this doesn't saturate any. And that should be good to go. We have all of that going out now. So that should have propagated back here. This is showing 77 now, and it's going to drop down a little bit once it's down to these. Alright, so that should be the concrete distribution problem fixed. Right, I keep forgetting that there are different machines for different production lines just intermixed between each other. Alright, so now this isn't getting any concrete. Presumably we've just caught it in that small window where I disconnected it. And now it's running again. Alright, up we go. Will this be filled by... Yes, it will. Alright, so now we have 11 concrete, which is enough to run another cycle immediately. And that is that. Alright, so let's hop back up to the top to make sure that no weird stuff is going on up here. These are just output blocked, which will hopefully fade away over the next couple hours. It's going to take ages. But if we go up here, these are all still going, plenty of water. Okay, these are yellow because of output blocks. That's good. That's the kind of problem we want to see. And let's just grab some Fixmas gifts. And some more Fixmas gifts. Because at some point we're going to want to have a lot of them to produce lots of presents, probably. I do not know how this whole thing works. If it is just decorative stuff, then this might not be strictly necessary. But if it isn't, then we're going to want to have as many as possible. Or if there's, you know, some goal, some ability to sync them for lots of tickets or something, that would be nice. Alright, let's see here. This pipe we should get rid of just so that we don't get confused and think that it does something. And get rid of the floating junction. Too lazy to remove the other stuff. Alright. I believe we have sorted everything out. And, okay, this last one was suffering from the distribution problems, but it should be fixed now. Alright, so now all we need to do is just wait like a hilariously long time for this to trickle through and for everything to be fixed. Now the problem is everything is so saturated that it's just going to take a very long time. But heavy modular frames should now be running. So this is at 91%. Please say we get another heavy modular frame just in time. We don't. There's still a bit of a delay. Pretty significant delay, actually. What is wrong? Yeah, that's a lot. Alright. So, what are you doing? Still not enough of those. But these do have more than enough concrete now. They actually have enough for a small buffer. So then is this somehow not enough? That's 3.3, that's 3.3, this is 6.6. Alright, so it's just a matter of it trickling through. And we're going to take 90 seconds for a single cycle. Even getting just a couple of cycles in is time consuming. But it should be fixed now. So yeah, that one happened immediately. Oh, I see. It's not quite lined up perfectly. So this is every 60 seconds, whereas this produces this produces 3 every 90 seconds, whereas these ones down here use 1 every minute. Is there some splitting going on here too? Yes, there is. So this is effectively giving 1 a minute, but it's giving them in bursts, and those bursts are just regulated by an ordinary old splitter. So it's not quite... I mean, it'll work eventually, it'll stabilize out and be fine, but while it's just booting up, there's going to be some problems. Alright, so it's still being delayed. So every so often it'll get 1, so like half the time of these cycles it gets 1 heavy modular frame, and the other half of the time it gets 2 heavy modular frames. And that, because it produces them in batches of 3. And so that is the problem. So like this one is currently on the good side of the cycle. So it can run for another couple cycles there. And I think we're getting there. Yeah, it's going to take just a couple of cycles for this to even out and give approximately 50% to each, because it makes in odd numbers very slowly. So that's all that's happening there. I'm fairly certain, at least. As long as these are producing at 100%, which it's hard to say because the statistics show 93%, but that's just because of the delay in the statistics updating. This should get another 2 encased industrial beams any second now. Probably like now? Yes, just barely in time, as usual. Alright, so this should now be running round the clock, making our 10 adaptive control units. And there's only the one recipe for those, right? Yes. Very simple. So it's not like we chose a bad recipe or anything. It's just like this. Alright, so now we have that. All of these are going. And obviously we have got a full box of them. Up to 649 printable coupons, which combined with the ones we already have is 863. So another 137 short until we can get the golden nut. Not in a huge rush to get that. It'll happen inevitably. But for now, what we need to do is set up our drone port. So we set you to left any and take this belt, I guess just over this way. Gotta find somewhere with good convenient access to the sky. So this belt goes all the way over this way, and this should be good enough. So now we just gotta make a nice solid platform. Let's fill in that corner and put that in. Transport. And drone port. And make sure it's all lined up conveniently. Alright, then we get those two snapped together like that. That goes there. You get half a stack of rocket fuel and get named... What do you get named? ACU refueler. And you get sent to the rocket fuel source. And you get a drone. And then we just have to get these drone ports powered on. So there we go. So that drone should be off any second now. Yep, it's going. Alright, now we just have to take this belt, run it over that way, and call this ACU source. Alright, so that is 10 adaptive control units supplied, and this sync is probably just never going to run anymore, but we're going to keep it just in case. We also have this nice box here, which I don't know what we're going to do with. We don't need them. Alright, so now we need to find a convenient spot and produce 5 more adaptive control units. And we're not going to waste like all of our summer sloops getting barely more production out of this. Seems like that would be a bad idea. So instead we are going to set up a factory which just does like half of that, I guess. like this exact thing, but half as big. And then import those. And then that'll be that. Although, do we have... We have a lot of power shards. We could try just like overclocking everything. No, that would never work. There's so many machines in this. Alright. I guess we may as well build it here. Like, we have this spot. We have all the resources we're going to need imported. I don't know. It's a bit of a inconvenient mess to have to do it this way. I guess let's just see what the calculator says. So I'm going to go over to that and add inputs. So we have supercomputers, we've got plenty of those, and adaptive control units, we've got 10 of them. Alright, so yeah, this is basically Satisfactory Tools wants to do this whole hilariously complicated thing, which probably isn't even that much worse than what I'm doing here. I mean, it realistically is probably about the same. It might actually be the same setup. I don't know. Let's grab Fixmas Gifts so that I can stall having to put all this nonsense together. Why do these have to be so many steps? So we need like heavy modular frames and computers and automated wiring, because why not? Oh, the automated wiring is actually going to be annoying because I think for this one we just imported some, but I don't think we have enough automated wiring to import even more. So we might be stuck there. Alright. Anyways, how do we do this? Can we expand this easily or not? Yeah, we're definitely just going to have to make a new factory, which we'll just build differently, just directly next to this one. That's going to be very confusing and weird. Alright, grab those gifts. Alright, so yeah, let's just go like across the road from our current factory. How much is this going to take? According to Satisfactory Tools, we're going to need 930 iron ore, 975 water, 180 limestone, and pretty negligible amounts of everything else. Okay. Do we do this here? Ugh. It's gonna be so annoying to set up. How much iron are we even using here? So here's our iron belt. And it's apparently a single Mark IV belt. And it's not even fully running. And it's feeding 10 adaptive control units. So I guess the Satisfactory Tools recipe is going to be more iron heavy and preserve the other resources. Yeah, we have like iron wire in here. A lot of iron wire actually. Holy. 60 constructors worth of iron wire just for 5 of these things. Oh, and that's mostly for the automated wiring, but also for the modular frames. Okay, let's just try not to get overwhelmed by all of this. See, this is why I don't like looking at Satisfactory Tools, because it shows you so many like overly insanely complicated steps that you have to take. Alright, so we need to, instead of this being just one belt of iron, we need it to be 3. Which is a bit of an issue because of how this works, but it's also, this is a single Mark IV belt. We have access to Mark V belts now. So we're gonna have to do a 5-to-3 balancer in order to get this set up properly, which is not terribly difficult actually. All right, yeah, let's just do that. We've got space over here, so we're gonna have to tear all this apart, and we do have a big box full of iron up there, which will hopefully keep the old stuff running while I set up this balancer. The rest of them shouldn't need that because, I mean, I'm adding like 60 or 70 on as opposed to 900 some. Alright, so these all go up like that. And this foundation is going to have to go across. Alright, that looks lined up, assuming I did it right. No, I didn't. We go there. So we just have to take one belt off of each of these, and then do some balancing up there on that floor where we're not about to run into the trains. So this all goes up. And that. And one more. So you go there. And that belt gets attached up. Alright, so now we've got all that. So we need to split each of these into 3 and then merge those groups of 3 up, which is going to be a less annoying version of what I had to do at the aluminum factory. But less annoying, still kind of annoying. Actually, wait, is this going to be less annoying? I think this might actually just be the same, basically. I think we might be running into the same problem. Which is that it's hard to merge 5 things up evenly. Alright, well, let's get the splitters in. So each of these branch off into batches of 3. And then we go there, 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 and there. Alright, so how do we get this to work properly without exploding? So we need to make it so that 5 things merge into one belt evenly, which I still don't know how to do. But I was able to figure out a way of... Right, so last time what I did is I just balanced out which one was being prioritized. Could I just... Is there an easier way to do this? Let me think. So I could just, like, hope that each of these is capable of transporting one belt of iron and then just like merge them up in a more naive way. So that would be taking like that belt plus half of this belt is one. Half of this belt plus that one is the other. And then those two... Wait, no, that's not right. So it's 5 to 3. So we would need, like, that belt, and that belt to go forwards and get half each of that belt and that belt. And that would give us 3 belts. Which we could then do a 3 to 3 balancer on. Yeah, that actually, I think, works better. Alright, so that, and that go away. And this isn't going to be quite as solid, but it should still work perfectly. It's just, I think... Yeah, I don't know. It should still work perfectly, and that's the important thing. Although, actually, will it? No, it will. Yeah, so we're going to have the center one will have more than the outer 2 ones at first. But then we're just going to balance the 3 of them anyways. So it shouldn't matter. Alright, so now we split these into batches of 3. That one, and that one. And the belts go forwards into them. And now we have to get them to all meet up, which we want to go over this way for, because this is the direction we're going to be building in, I think. Alright, so here is where it gets a lot less neat and tidy, probably. So you have to go from there, and you have to go... How do I get this over there correctly? I guess like that is... No, that's horrible. And we also need to get the other 2 belts of this out. So that is going to look something like that. And something like that. So then this has to come over here, up a layer, across, and then down. Yes, so that's those 2. And then these are going to be extending out this way for a little bit further, so we just have to keep track of where they are. Then this is going to be coming all the way over here. And actually this one will be going over here. Yeah, okay. So that one's going to be doing that, so this one needs to go over it. Please just give me default mode, up a tick. Stay up a tick a little bit more, and actually go back a bit so we have a tiny bit of extra space, and then in there. Alright, so that is 1. That is 1, which has a single belt from each. Now we have to build a second one, which is going to go there, and then it has to take from this, which goes in there, I guess, and then this is just going to have to do something silly. So you're going to have to go up and over and then back down. And then this one comes all the way over from here, sneaks in that tiny little gap, and I built this facing the wrong way. You need to face that way. And then you all go in like that. And that is that built. And now we have one more, which just goes there. And it takes you and you. You're going to have to skip up over some stuff there. And then this one, which is just going to have to go a long way around. Alright, now we have those. And right on time, because this is starting to run low, you get to pull from one of them and go into that box. Alright, so this might draw more on the center than the outer two. We'll have to see if that is actually the case. Or will it? No, it should be fine, right? It might draw more on these two than these three, maybe? I don't know. It's gonna be a bit weird. But we have resupplied the iron, so this factory is gonna keep working. And by the way, is this going smoothly? That's showing 100%. These should be showing 100% too. Yes. So adaptive control unit production is back up to 100. So now, for all that work, we have 2 belts of iron, which we can use for our new factory. Now, I need to confirm how much of the other stuff I'm using, because I don't want it... Because I need to make sure it's not, like, right on the edge of the belt limits. Although I can actually just fix that, because this was made during Mark IV era. So I can just upgrade all these belts to Mark Vs and pull the rest of it out. The crude oil could be a problem. No, even then, I mean, we can just add an additional pipe. Alright, so we have we're gonna try to organize all of the inputs here. So we have 2 belts of iron that we can use. Check. We have a small amount of copper, 70-ish. Technically 69.7, but basically 70. So that's that. Copper is supplied. A similar amount of caterium, actually the same amount of ore. So the ore is going to come on over here. And then twist around to be facing in the same direction. Alright, we need literally 13 coal. And do we actually need any quartz? We don't actually need any quartz for this. Why not? I guess we're just using different alt recipes. So we need 13 coal and 180 limestone. Oh, coal? Where's the coal? Oh, the coal is over here. Okay. And apparently we're using a lot of it, because we have 2 belts here. Well, I only need a single I only need 13 coal. So let's grab this, bring it over this way, and let's actually just make it a point of going around behind the existing stuff whenever it's reasonable, just so that we can keep it relatively organized about what is going where. So we don't have a constant jumble of like different belts doing different things all mixed between each other. That would cause a lot of confusion. It's somewhat unavoidable, but to the extent which we can avoid it, should do so. So this belt just keeps going along. And then we just have to bring it around facing this way. And finally, limestone. And then once we do that, we're going to upgrade all of these belts off of the trains to Mark V to make sure that there's no problems with that. What were they doing? I zoned out a little bit and moved right past the limestone. Alright, so we need 180 of this, so it is going to be Mark III belt. And we're going to have to sneak it out through there. It's kind of a miracle that that worked. Alright, now this just comes along this way, and there is coal on that belt. It's just that Mark I belts, however slow you think they are somehow even slower. Alright, and we just turn that around to face the right way. And now we have all of our belts, and we are going to expand them forward so that they are all a little bit less weird as they currently are. Alright, so this way we have like them actually in a straight line instead of these weird curves right at the end. Alright, and they're not perfectly spaced, but it's fine enough. Alright, so that's everything. Once the coal makes it along its way here, and then the only thing left will be the water, which, you know, just a little bit traumatized by the water in this part of the factory. But we're going to need a pipe and a half. We're going to need 975, so more like a pipe and 2/3. Alright, so let's just deal with that now. We're going to have to go down to the water area, add in some additional pipes, and get it going. May as well grab this present in the meantime. Oh. Got it. The old mid-air present snipe. Alright, so now we just drop down here. And hopefully we land somewhere with power, so that I can stop myself. There we go. Oh, a summer sloop. How is that just immediately back here without me having noticed? Alright. Grab you. Up to 9 of those. Alright, so we need 975.28 water. Which means, like I said, about a pipe and 2/3. So let's just grab some water extractors and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a pipe. And let's power them on so that we can hover around in that area. Water extractors are so big, take up so much space. Alright, so that is those set up. And then for a pipe and 2/3, we're just going to do 2 pipes. Just because with water, it's always convenient to round up. Alright, so now we have our 2 pipes of water. We just got to connect them all up. And that is going to require a somewhat complicated pipe setup like that. And we just got to do it again. So those 2 and those 2. And then those 2. Hello? Oh, it hadn't snapped in properly. Now there's a little guy there. Please walk ever so slightly. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. And now we connect that one up. And we just need to do the power lines for these. So they get those, and we're going to need another power pole eventually. May as well pop that in now. Get all of those guys attached up. And we've got the start of these new water pipes. Alright, so now we just have to get those pipes out and drag them all the way up. Alright, so this comes along this way. And these pipes are just going to have to go all the way across the swamp, basically. And then we're going to have to bring them up on that wall until we make it to this part of the factory that we're headed to. Good news is headlift has already been sorted. Alright, here's the headlift sorter actually, so we need to expand that pipe out that way a little bit. Put 2 more junctions in. And connect you guys up to those junctions. Now, just to make sure that nothing weird happens, I'm going to pop a valve. Set that to 0. Headlift should still be preserved, but it means that any water from the rest of this stuff won't get mixed up. And now we just have to take these along all the way over here, up onto this little ridge. And apparently there's radiation here. And that once again reminds me that I have still after all this time not bothered to spend the 5 minutes to set up a hazmat suit, or even gas filters for that matter. I really ought to do that at some point. I mean, I want to do nuclear power at some point, so it's not like I can just continue skipping it. That poison pillar is a bit close for comfort. Get rid of it. Alright, so the pipes just continue along. And it looks like we have free space on the back of this, but not on the front, so let's do that. Up you go. And up you go. Alright, so this will make using this ladder more difficult, but I have no intention of ever using this ladder because I have the hover pack. So up we go. And should test to see if it's actually climbing properly. And it looks like it is. I mean, it's filling up those pipes and those pipes. So yeah, it is. The headlift is working. And we can just continue going up. And continue going up. And we just keep going up until we finally make it to the bottom level of the factory, which we're going to be starting there. This is going to be a different factory, so we're not going to do the pattern of the previous one of taking the raw resources all the way up to the top and then working downwards. I tried that once and I didn't really like it. And so we're going to learn from that lesson and do it the normal way. Alright, we're almost there. And then now there's another ladder on here for no apparent reason. Alright, so now these pipes just have to sort of go off this way. And then we need to go up one more floor up to here. So let's get some foundations over here for them to go up to. And we have to be careful to not cause problems for the trains. So we're going to go up like there. And then you come around this way and then go up there. And then up there and there. Just wrap around onto the foundation. And we're good. We could use floor holes for that, but having it this way is fine. And now we just have to bring these pipes over to the approximate location of the starting place for the new factory. So then this just has to shift a little bit over to get around the radar tower. And then this goes forwards. Alright, shift a little bit over again, because boy is that radar tower close. And now we are just here, and that was a different type of foundation than I normally use. But that doesn't really matter, because we have water. And there is already water in these pipes, so that is a huge success. Alright, so then these pipes can twist around to be facing the same direction as the rest of the stuff. I was hitting space instead of alt for trying to swap my hotbar, and I just hovered up slightly. Alright, we have all of our ingredients, including the water. Is there anything I am missing here? No. It's just the supercomputers and the ACUs that I'm going to have to bring in via drone, but we'll do that when we need them. Alright. Alright, so now we have to... Oh, I've almost forgot the crude oil. That's somewhat important. So we're going to have to hover over there, grab that, and then bring it across. Alright, here is the crude oil. And... Oh, is there actually a crude oil problem here? No, just the first one is empty. The rest of these... Oh, the first one and the last one are empty. Marginally concerning. I hope we don't have a crude oil shortage. That would cause some problems. Okay. So this pipe just has to go up and up there. And I actually wanted to zigzag it out to the other side of the water, because the water pipes are a bit cramped. Alright, now we're going to have to be a bit creative around the radar tower. So we have it like that, and we have that, and then we can just go across there and then not worry about equipping the tower. Alright, this pipe goes forwards, and now, finally, we officially have everything we need for this whole production line. And is there a crude oil train coming soon to fill this up? Because it is sort of worryingly low. I wish this were like Factory, where you could click on the station and just see like what trains are headed here. But this is not helpful at all. Also, power continues to be incredibly sketchy and inconsistent, which makes me sad. We're gonna have to fix that at some point, but I'm not feeling it today. So for now, let's just review what exactly we're doing here. So we have crude oil to heavy oil residue to residual rubber. Yeah, so we're doing this more efficiently than normal, and some diluted fuel. We're going fused quick wire from copper and deuterium, recycled rubber to make recycled plastic, and also just some rubber for computers. Alright. The bulk of the iron is going to iron pipes and iron wire. And yeah, so that's for the automated wiring mostly, and the encased industrial beams. And that's going to be like 60 constructors of iron wire, which is absolutely insane. Like, that's sheer madness to do that. Alright, well, let's... Oh, I don't know why I'm not motivated today at all. Let's try to just chip a little bit away at this. So we're gonna start with the crude oil, I guess. Get that through a couple of steps. That should be relatively straightforward. Alright, so let's make some space over this way. And we're going to need a lot of space. Alright, so heavy oil residue. We just need 2 refineries of it. Gosh, the production lines that the calculators can give you are just like so much better than what you could come up with yourself. Because like I was using like 625 fuel or something insane for those 10, and sure this is only 5, but it's a lot less. So heavy oil residue, and this is going to be how much? How much is this? 70.9 heavy oil residue in total, so 70.9 divided by 2 is 35 point something. So we can copy paste that across. And take the pipe and send it in. Pipe modes are a bit weird, but there we go. That's them. That's the heavy oil residue. So now we just take that and some water. Gosh, it's so convenient having blenders now. You don't have to go this whole multi-stage process to make diluted packaged fuel. You can just stick it in some blenders and call it a day. Alright, so we do have to siphon out the polymer resin for later use, which isn't all that much. Alright, so now we just take these pipes out, and I guess we just combine them up again. So you go into there, you go into there. Now we get our two blenders. One, and we need more surface for all of this, because of course we do. Blender number 2. So, the fuel is... Okay, it doesn't say exactly the numbers conveniently, but it does say the number of blenders, which is 1.418. So, 141.8 divided by 2 is 70.9%, and we just copy-paste that across. And actually, hang on, if it's 2 of these into 2 of these, then we don't even need to combine these up. They can just go straight across. And that works out quite conveniently. Alright, then we grab a water pipe. Just any old water pipe should do. Here you are. And we have to make this expand out over this way. We're going over the train line, but that's fine. We're high enough up that we're not going to cause any massive explosions or anything. Alright, so we just bring that pipe across and put it in like that. And boom. Hey, don't do that. Boom. Alright, so that is our fuel. And so we just need to get the output like this. That goes across. And that all goes in. Alright, now we just have to power it up. So we get a power pole, which can go back there, I guess. No reason not to. And it's going to be a big power pole, so we can connect a bunch of stuff to it without worrying. Now we just have to find some other power line somewhere to connect this into, which, or we can find it back there. Alright, so now we should be making heavy oil residue, and shortly thereafter we'll be making fuel. And the fuel is just going into recycled plastic, recycled rubber. Although the rubber is also taking some from the residual rubber from the polymer resin. So let's get that in. That is just one refinery. Okay, actually just... Can we have this... We're still doing it this way, but we just need to have it merge up facing the other way so that we can get it out more easily. Because this is the way that we have space for. Alright, refinery in here. So you go there, you get that, and set to residual rubber. So polymer resin, check. Water, check. And you get set to 88.6%, or more precisely 17.725, but not in that. 17.725 production rate per minute, which is 88.625%. Alright, so now we just power this on, connecting to that, and that is our rubber. So then we take that rubber and the fuel and make a recycled rubber loop with just a couple machines each. And fortunately, I don't have to stumble through figuring it out myself because I've finally given up and used Satisfactory tools. I know we need 3 each, barely. So that's 1, 2, 3. Rotate it around, go 4, 5, and a little bit of extra space here, and 6. Alright. So, now we need to work out what the numbers for all of these are. I'm pretty sure I remember it being like 3-1-2 ratios. Something like that. Alright, so we need to make 60 rubber a minute net out of this. Alright, hang on. Yes, we're gonna have to work with the numbers that this calculator gave, and then figure out how the ratios work. So this is going to be a total of 122.716 rubber, which, what does that even mean? Recycled rubber, boom, boom, boom. We might need a 4th then, technically. Let me think here. I mean, we have enough, but I don't know if we have enough. No, it should be fine. So, we have 60 rubber, which is just an output. So you are just going to go away somewhere. Then, these 2 machines have to make up and go into the plastic. So that is going to be 62.716 divided by 2. Copy and paste. Alright, so now we have those. They merge up and go in here. So they need to go and merge up with the residual plastic, actually. That would be the easiest way of doing things. And then we would need you to then... No, but these 3 aren't going to be even either, are they? Because these 3 definitely aren't even. Alright, so then we need to figure out how exactly the plastic is doing things. So we need an output and 2 internals. So for output plastic, we need 92.857, which is going to be like a machine and a half plus some. Alright, yeah, so they can do this with fewer refineries because they're not worried about underclocking and everything to get the balance correct. But for the output, we need this to be 60, this to be 32.857, 0.857, and then these two merge up and go away. Actually, probably these two merge up and go away since they're on the outside. And I think we might need yeah, no, we're definitely going to need a fourth. So, put those settings there. You can go back to being generic. So these two are on the outside, and they merge up into their 92 outputs and just go away. So we have 60, we have 32.857. I think I want these to be the other way around. That to be 60 and this to be 32.857, just so the weirdest one is on the edge, in case that makes a difference somehow. And actually, we might end up just having these two balanced, so they're each half of 92.857. Yeah, let's do that. 92.857 divided by 2. Copy that. Paste it there. So that's the output, and then this is the plastic, which just goes to the input, which is 61.358 divided by 2. And then we have those. So that's 61.358 plastic there, which goes into these three. And it goes evenly. Oh, this is so confusing. Why is it always like this? I made a mistake doing this when I was exhausted already. So we have 30 there and 31 something there. Okay, so what we can do is have these two be... No, because then they're going to be absolutely impossible to feed. What we can do, though, is... we can make all three of these even, actually, because the output is specifically the number 60. We can just force that with a smart splitter and then not have to worry about it. And then the rest can go over to these four, but then we're going to need to figure out how to balance across these four, which is 51%, 51%, 77%, 77%. So previously I had my 3-1-2 system. How did that work? So this let's just get some out here to just place down and stare at it and think for a little bit without messing the ones that I've already built. So, recycled rubber, recycled rubber, recycled rubber. Now what I did is this is 60, so then this center one would be 20, and then this outer one would be 40. And then these, so then that would be a total of 80, 120, total of 120 rubber, which uses a total of 60 plastic. So then the 3, which is the 60, would go into feeding the plastic production. Wait, is that right? No. We have to look at this. We have to look at the whole system collectively. So we have our other machines here, which do the same thing but recycled plastic. So we set these to the ratios that we had. Alright, so we have 60 rubber there, which feeds that 60 rubber demand. We have 60 plastic there, which feeds that 60 plastic demand. And then we have 40, 50, 60. Then we have 60 outputs to each of those, and we could balance them with... How did we balance them? So half of the belt would go into that, then 2/3 would go into that, and 1/3 would go into this, or something like that. I can't remember how I did this at all. I think that was not helpful. That was not even remotely helpful. Okay. So, we're looking back at this. We've got these three. So these two feed these four, and they're even, which makes them easy. And then this one is different, which makes it hard. But it's the one that manages the output. So then we have these two, which manage the input, and these two, which manage the output. So 30.679 times 2 is 61.358. This is 92.875. 92.875 divided by 61.358 is 1.5 something, but it's going to be off slightly because we're adding 17 rubber in to the system. Oh, this balancing is absolutely atrocious. So we can force... We can organize these up and force them with speed balancing. How much plastic is it total? It's... Just change that divide sign to a plus sign. It's 154.233. Which isn't helpful at all. I don't know what I thought would happen there. Alright. Alright, what do we need to do here? We need to get this to work. I want this to be balanced. I've balanced plastic recycling setups in the past, and I should be able to do it now. Okay, I think the way we do it is the way I was looking at it previously, which is we just merge all three of these up. And this is the rubber output, so they're also going to be merging up with the previous thing. So all of these merge up. Just nice and uniform like that. And we're gonna need faster belts. So let's just use Mark III belts there. And we can grab this as well, just so that we have it in, instead of just having to remember that it exists. You go in there. Alright, so this is all of the rubber. So now we need a smart splitter, which is right any center overflow. So that is the plastic output, which can handle all that. And then this is... Yeah, so this is going to be backlogged, presumably, because these are... Yes, alright, so that's fine. But anyways, we have our rubber, which goes in here, and we take 60 out. Then we take the remaining, and now because these are all just merged up and being force split, these can be divided in any way we want them to be for their inputs to work, and we don't have to worry about getting the outputs to work. So we just need to get these outputs to line up in the same way. Actually, I wonder if we can... Now, there's no way we can force 92.857 specifically output plastic. We're going to need to get more creative than that. So the way we have it here is we have these two deal with the output and these two deal with the recycling. So we could take these two, put them into those three, and just like have it be evenly split. And then that portion of things would work, this portion of things would work, but then this portion of things wouldn't work. So, we were doing this math earlier, like that, and it was 1.51 something, which was a weird number, but I didn't account for the extra rubber. Actually, why is that 0.358? That's the plastic going in. That's the plastic going across. We need to look at this in terms of... Wait, how are we looking at this? In terms of where the rubber goes? So we have 62.716 rubber going into these. That is 15.339 times 2. Times 2 is 30.678. And then it is 23.214 times 2. I got an extra 2 in there. Oh. That has to be that plus... Alright, now why am I so bad at doing this? That has to be times 2 plus that times 2 is 77.106. So that is the total amount of rubber. Does that line up properly? Let's see. We have... No, that doesn't line up at all. 23.214 times 2. 15.339 times 2. But we have 17.725 rubber plus 62.716 rubber, which clearly adds up to at least 80. Right? So what's gone wrong there? Are these numbers wrong? These numbers must be wrong. Alright, so the plastic which loops back has to be 61.358. That's these two. 30.679. 679 times 2 is 61.358. So that is the correct amount of plastic looping back there. Then these two are 46.429 times 2 is 92.858, should be 92.857, so that's the correct amount of plastic. Oh, there's somewhere else that takes 6.667 plastic up to coated iron plates for some reason. So yeah, that's what happened. We missed an output. That's why the numbers weren't lining up. So, 99.525. Actually, we can just do this in the machines. 99.525 divided by 2 is 49 point something. Alright. So, now we can go back to doing this math, which I hope should give us like 1.33 or something. 99.525 plus 61.358 is 160.883, which should be hang on, wait. What are we doing here? How is that working out? It says we're putting 80 fuel in and getting like 100. Oh, because we have the spare rubber. Right. All right. That's fine. Never mind. Don't pay attention to what I was saying there. It was meaningless. All right. So the rubber that goes in then is 17.725 plus 62.716 is 80.441 rubber. And then we have to divide that by 80.441 divided by, how have I forgotten it already, and also done a typo again, 80.441 divided by 30.679. 30.679 times 2 is 1.31. Now I'm going to assume that that is a rounding and it's supposed to be 1.33 because that's what the number has typically been. Alright, so actually, so that's, in terms of ratios, that's like, no, it's supposed to be like 1.25, I think, actually. 30.679 times 2. 0.679 times 2 is 61.358 divided by, what was that, 99.525? 0.525 is 61. Now if I... So, I think there is a good ratio way of doing this if my numbers were more precise, which they currently are not. But I think that these two are supposed to be 2/3 of that. I think. Let's get the old backup set of refineries so that I can look at it properly. Alright, so we've got 3 of these guys. They're going to be set to recycled rubber. Actually, this last one, I think we do 1 recycled plastic. I think, oh, is this what the 3-1-2 system was? It's that, and that, and that, or something. So then this provides 60 plastic, 30 of which goes into feeding these machines, 30 of which goes out. And then these two make 60 rubber, 30 of which goes to feeding this machine and 30 of which goes out. No, that's wrong. What? How did I do this? I know that at some point I had this as a nice perfect setup. I'm gonna have to think about it. I'm just gonna give up now. I'm just gonna give up while I'm behind, and then on Friday I'll have had some time to mull this over and try to remember how I do recycled rubber setups with proper balancing. And then hopefully I'll have figured it out. Otherwise, we'll have to be right back here again. But it is currently 4:51, and I am exhausted and not thinking very well. So we're gonna leave that for the future. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We made decent progress here. We've fixed the adaptive control unit factory probably correctly this time. Let's just hop over. I see green lights, but I would see green lights even if it were like 90%. But yes, this is showing 100%. So we've fixed the adaptive control unit factory, and we are working on making an expansion to it, which we've made very little progress on, but we've at least technically got it started. And so then next time we can use this and just keep on working along at it. It's going to take ages because it's very complicated. But eventually we will get to the point where we can throw down some assembly director systems and start making Phase 4 project parts. So we're going to continue working along on that on Friday. Tomorrow we'll be back in Factorio, so make sure to stop by if you're interested in that. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. And that'll be that.